Welcome, friends, to another segment of Inspire Movement. My name is Caesar. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's an honor and privilege that you're taking time out of your busy schedule to tune into another segment. Today we're going to continue with our series of segments on purpose. We're reaching out to community leaders, people that vocationally are very passionate with what they're doing, and inspire us to do the same through their actions. So with that, today we have a good fortune to have my friend, Miss Natalia Foote, joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's an honor and privilege to have you before me in this beautiful studio. We're going to dive into a lot of things yoga. We are in Sunlight Yoga.
Yep.
And I want us to maybe start with a little bit of your backstory. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Natalia Foote, and I'm a Florida native. I came to Orlando 20 years ago for UCF, and then went back home after I graduated, came back a year later, got my master's, married, wonderful man, had 2 kids, and I've always been movement oriented. I used to dance. I taught dance at the collegiate level. I've always enjoyed moving, and then my children were starting to get a little older. This studio happened to open, and I met some wonderful yoga instructors in Laureate Park teaching Saturday morning yoga. They said, yeah, we're opening a yoga studio down the street. I was like, I need to check that out. I like the way I feel when I do yoga. I started coming, and one of the instructors said, we're having a yoga teacher training, and you have a really good, you look good when you do yoga. I was like, okay, that's always nice when somebody gives you a compliment. Oh my gosh, I got a compliment. And then I decided, maybe I need to do this. At the time, my girlfriend I had said, I don't know what I'm doing. I was a stay-at-home mom with my 2 boys. The one was about to start kindergarten, and I said, I don't know what to do. I need to do something with my life. She said, well, what do you love? She said, you seem to really like yoga. Why don't you move in that direction? That might have been a Monday. On Wednesday, I came to yoga, and the instructor said, you should try teacher training. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. And it felt right, so I decided to do that. I became teacher trained at Firefly Yoga, which is a studio downtown. Mm-hmm. And my yoga journey began. That's the way that I opened the door for myself. And I found a passion within myself for yoga, for meditation, for calming myself down. And I've since gotten another training here at Sunlight Yoga that we did together.
Yes, we did.
So yeah.
Fantastic experience.
Yeah.
So for our viewers that are new to yoga and all things yoga, can you maybe elaborate on what yoga is as best as you can define it for the viewer?
Well, here at Sunlight Yoga, we teach yoga asana, the movement. And so there's postures that are in yoga asana. Yoga itself is a very broad word, and there's different styles and types of yoga. There's meditative yoga. There's we learned of the practice, right? The yoga where we're self-studying, and this is the practice of the movement, the postures. It's what we teach here. Many people know down dog or child's pose, and these are well-known yoga poses. If you come to Sunlight Yoga, you're going to be able to get a mixture of all those postures, and you'll be able to feel the connection. Yoga ultimately means union, connection, and you'll feel the connection of your breath and the movement together. What that does is it brings you into the moment, because when you are focused on your breath didn't happen 5 minutes ago or 20 years ago, and your breath isn't going to happen 10 years from now or an hour from now. Your breath is now. Mm-hmm. So when you focus on your breath and whatever posture you're in, it brings you to here.
To this very moment, you're present.
Exactly.
So when we talk about things like mindfulness, would you say that that's precisely what they're referring to?
Definitely. That is, yoga is a practice in mindfulness. We can have a practice in mindfulness when we brush our teeth. If we're in the moment, fully feeling and sensing brushing our teeth. But yoga teaches us how to do that by the postures, by focusing on the breath, and by being there with that. it's hard to think about other things when you're trying to balance in Warrior 3 besides, okay, my foot's doing this, my arms are doing this, my body is breathing. You're in the moment.
Right. And connection with that breath in that balancing posture actually leads to the better stability and be able to hold it for a little bit longer.
For sure. Everything's a practice. And that's one of the beautiful aspects of yoga is that it's a practice. There is no yoga final, unlike we just did. But it's a yoga practice. So you come to yoga and you practice how to balance. You practice how to be in a pose that may feel slightly uncomfortable, but how to breathe in this pose. So that when we go outside and we're driving and somebody cuts us off and we feel uncomfortable, we practice how to breathe and let that go. Can
you share for our viewers, and this wasn't something I was thinking of asking, but since we started a little bit on the training aspects, to be certified, to become an instructor, I was really amazed at just the exposure to so many different things. Can you maybe elaborate on, things that I'll sort of name drop some of our instructors, but Mr. Steve, Miss Violet, Miss Kristen, some of the things that they may be brought into the light.
Yes, exactly. So Mr. Steve was great because I think he has such a wealth of knowledge, and he is trying to bring his wealth of knowledge and make it accessible for all of us to understand. He was excellent because he taught us the 3-part breath, which is something that you could do right now, which is breathing, bringing the navel in, lifting up from the navel down, bringing that in so that the abs are in tight, and then breathing over the navel is the first part. So you loosen and open up through the diaphragm, then the ribs, and then the top of the chest. In life, what happens as we get stressed, everything comes in. And sometimes what we like to do is sit up nice and straight and hold our abs nice and tight, but that doesn't allow us to breathe fully. When we get stressed, we tighten up. This allows us and teaches us to breathe fully. And we can practice that. And then Violet was an excellent instructor. She taught us all about anatomy and how our bodies work in these poses.
Which is a little overwhelming at first.
Yes, it's overwhelming, yes.
Why am I learning all this stuff?
Exactly, right. So, but then it's so magical when you see it all kind of come together in your poses and your postures. And then Kristen opened the door to Ayurveda, which is the oldest Eastern medicine, and the doshas, and so I'm probably saying words that if you've never heard of this, you may not understand, but it defines, or it tells you which the type of personality that you may be. So all of these are things that you can learn in a teacher training. If you do know yoga and you want to learn more, I highly suggest getting trained.
So I think you've already touched on that, but very internally, that's deepened your practice, obviously, right? Going through, because I think you've done now, you mentioned two or three trainings, at least two. 500 hours?
I guess, something like that. Yeah, the first one, I don't remember the exact amount of hours.
So in that yoga journey, when you were a practitioner, can you sort of now compare your practice today to what it used to be? And does it even compare?
It doesn't compare. It's the only constant is change. And that's, for me, as I've aged, I mean, I'll be 39, I'll be 40 next year, 2020. So, I feel like the older we get, our bodies, if we enjoy something, do we want to do it for a long period of time? Or do we want to do that really hard, but for less time? So as I feel my body moving, I know that I can push it a little bit, but I also want to enjoy this for a long time. And so when I first started, you mentioned earlier, it was a little ego-based. Right. Can I nail that pose? Can I do that? Can I hold that headstand for 20 breaths? And then now I'm learning that, yeah, maybe I can, or maybe I can't. And
maybe I don't want to.
Maybe I don't want to. Maybe my body doesn't feel like that today. And I've learned to lengthen instead of, don't close the gap, create the space. So it's creating space within myself in a posture, in a pose, listening, and that opens the practice. It just makes it richer.
Totally.
Yeah.
So again, for folks out there that have yoga practice as something really foreign, may have heard of it, may have heard something negative even at some point. Can you maybe address a little bit on misconceptions? I think I fall into one. I am not a very flexible man, as you very much well know by the 3rd month of training. I have a couple of surgeries that disallow certain movements or make certain movements not even accessible. But I can certainly feel empowered after 3 months of training to say that you don't have to be a certain type of person or flexible. But can you elaborate on maybe some of the misconceptions, including that one, that almost disallow people from coming into a studio?
Yeah, I often hear people say, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible.
Exactly.
It's the opposite, if anything. Every body, physical body, is different. We're all different. The way my bones are, the way my bones and my muscles are connected are very different from your bones. I mean, maybe they're connected the same, but the way that they work are different. We're different humans. So the way I look doing a yoga pose and the way you look doing a yoga pose will be different looking to an outsider. But that outsider isn't inside of our bodies. And the only one it matters to is to the person doing the pose. So when you're in your yoga practice, you're getting a benefit. And when I'm in my yoga practice, I'm getting a benefit. They might be different, might be very similar, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. And in yoga, we teach how to modify. So if you're somebody who's like, well, I can't touch my toes, it's okay. You don't have to touch your toes in yoga. It's okay to bend your knees because it may not be your hamstrings. It may be your lower back. It doesn't matter. Every body tells a different story. Every body has a different story. I know part of your story because you played basketball and you've, had 2 surgeries. So as a yoga instructor, it's my job to not push you and tell you, you need to tuck your toes. You need to get your heels on the ground because I don't know what your story is.
Right.
Or I may not know what your story is. I personally do, but still, I know. So
there's a lot of people like me that come to the studio and bring hip surgeries, messed up knees, a host of different things
And my suggestion with a person like that is to start either with a private lesson or a very small class where they can speak to the instructor and say, these are my special requirements. This is what I can do. Start small. And then from there, they can start jumping into, a yoga basics class. Okay, let's do this. Regarding flexibility, we're just going to get tighter. We're going to age, and our muscles, we're just going to continue to get tighter. So if we don't stretch, if we don't elongate, if we don't breathe and open, then we're just going to continue to get tighter and tighter and tighter.
That's one thing that I think we were really sort of stamped with.
Yeah.
Elongating the spine, lengthening, and creating space.
Yeah.
Right? It seems like those were fixtures throughout our practice for our trainings.
Yeah.
I'd like for us to transition a little bit into, or not transition to not so much, but as a certified instructor, you've obviously impacted people. And I believe you're an instructor here, in some other venues around in the community.
Yeah, so I teach for Sunlight Yoga, and Sunlight Yoga also teaches at Crescent Park on Saturday mornings for free, open to the community. And we also teach at Laureate Park for Laureate Park residents. So I teach at this location and those 2 locations as well.
So can you maybe share a story of anyone that's come back after a certain number of maybe sessions or outings, whether it be at the Crescent Park or at the studio, where they come back with some positive feedback? I feel better, or just maybe the joy that you sense and gratification that you feel, and knowing that, hey, this is landing on people in a tangible way, and it's working, it's good.
Yes, there's one woman in particular who is a resident in Lorient Park, delightful woman. I think she has some lower back issues, and she came to a hips and heart class, 7:10 Wednesday nights, and she came to class, and she had been doing some yoga, and she came back the following week. So she did that class, and she came back the following week. She said, I just went right to sleep. She said, I haven't slept that well in a long time. And she said, and I just was able to go home and fall asleep. And I thought, yeah, that's just one of the many little things that happen.
Something seemingly so basic and yet so inaccessible to many.
Yes, exactly.
Having had a few bad nights of sleep myself, just being able to sleep and rest, go into that deep REM makes a huge difference.
I know.
It really does.
Yeah.
So in that light, talk to me a little bit about something that I know is near and dear to your heart, for fact, which is the aspect of the yogi community. And spending time in this very studio for, seems like months and months and months now, blood, sweat, and tears, tears of joy, by the way. I've sensed incredible warmth, folks that are so welcoming. I just never felt really like any sort of blockage at the door, like you don't belong, or little cliques. I don't know if I've just had the good fortune of being with the right group of people, right group of instructors in this studio. But as somebody that's practiced yoga for a little bit longer, can you maybe expound on the yogi community? Is it a thing? Is it something, depends on the studio? What are your experiences with that?
For me, I think it definitely depends on the studio, just the environment that's created within the studio. This particular studio at Sunlight, it isn't a studio for boasting on, look at that pose that I nailed. I mean, yeah, we want, let's get that handstand, but it isn't about that. It isn't about like, hey, look what I can do, Caesar. It's the opposite. It's, oh my gosh, Caesar, look what you just did. That's amazing.
Which I experienced.
Exactly. We are delighted because I am overjoyed if somebody who I know has been working hard to get a pose that it doesn't matter if I have it and that I've done before, because just because you have a pose one day doesn't mean it's going to be there tomorrow. But that you see someone and the joy that's on their face, that excitement of like, look, I'm holding this. I'm holding my tree pose or whatever. It's exciting, and I feel like at Sunlight Yoga we really want to create that excitement for you as well. We want to be excited with you. One of the Yoga Sutras said that. It was 1.33. I think it was Karen who mentioned it. And it was when someone's happy, be happy with them. Be happy for them. There's more into the Yoga Sutra, but it's part of yoga. We want to be joyful with you.
To embrace this whole practice, I almost call it like a way of being together. Which we kind of know that it is. We don't want to give all the cookies away, but certainly did pick up on that. And again, expanding a little bit on this aspect of community, this studio is affiliated with, I believe it's called the Life Project. Can you maybe, and I don't know what it is about yoga today, current day, but it seems like it's more and more mainstream. My wife and I were in Winter Park yesterday, actually, and just discovered that they're offering that as a community yoga in Park Avenue. So there's a lot of momentum around yoga in this community sort of aspect. Maybe I know that's a little bit closer.
So Crescent Park, the class that we teach at Crescent Park on Saturday mornings, is sponsored by the Lake Nona Life Project, and that is a project that's a longitudinal life study. So it's a generational. You do have to be 18 and up to be a part of it, and if you live in Lake Nona, work in Lake Nona, you're able to do it. And all it is you take a survey once every 2 years, I believe, and they measure the health and wellness. resident or work in Lake Nona.
Got it.
And so I don't know exactly how they verify, but you go on the website and you type it in, and it's about a 30-minute long questionnaire. Then the researchers take that information and they determine, oh, look, people are sleeping really well, or people are having a difficult time sleeping. What can we do? Then they branch off and create sub-studies from that. So with yoga, as far as yoga being offered in different communities, there's plenty of studies now, research that shows how this mindful practice helps people. People come to yoga often and say, my doctor said I need to do yoga.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, my doctor said I need to do yoga, and you go, okay, let's do this. What are we doing? But yeah, that is because there's studies that show that it helps.
Well said.
Yeah.
So Miss Natalia is involved in other things yoga,
Yeah.
or other things outside of yoga, I should say. I'd like to maybe get a little bit of information on that.
Okay.
You were, as far as I understand it, a managing editor with Nona News.
I was.
And contributor as far as a writer.
Right now, yep, I'm just a contributing writer. It's wonderful.
Tell us all about it.
I am a contributing writer for Nona News.
Okay.
I write 3 articles every month. One is called Work Well, and it's about how we can work well at work and in life. That's based.
Does it go into ergonomics a little bit, or not so much?
It doesn't really go as much into. Every month, it's a different article on a different aspect that you can do. So it's either something you can immediately do or something to kind of think about. I wrote an article, for example, on the blue zones, which was the blue zones is areas in the world, pockets in the world where there are more centenarians, so more 100-year-olds than other places. And they looked at those places and determined this is what created that longevity in life.
Diet.
Yes, exactly. So it's diet, it's lifestyle, it's very holistic.
Right.
So that was one of the articles. I just kind of broke that down on how we can adopt some of these practices for ourselves. Another article was simply on breath and how working on our breath calms us down. We take 15 to 18 breaths naturally, but when we try and slow that down, somewhere between 5 and 8, that calms us down. When the breath is easy, the mind is easy. So when we're stressed, we take rapid, short breaths. And when we're calm, we take easy breaths. So training ourselves for that. That's one of those are Work Well articles. Then there's the Namaste with Natalia. That's an easy one.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
Namaste with Natalia. I mean, thank you, parents, for naming me an N name. So that's I break down one yoga pose. And then, you can try it out at home if you are nervous about coming into the yoga studio. And then the other article is Family Fun Fridays, which is an article where I do a fun event on a Friday with my family.
So Miss Natalia has 2 beautiful children and a great husband.
I do.
So
I do.
I don't know how you find the time, but somehow you make it happen.
Somehow we all do, right?
We all sometimes wonder.
We all make it somehow happen now. Yeah, they're the light in my life. Those 3 little men. Well, one big one and then 2. Yeah, there's one with a beard, and then the other 2 are 7 and 9. Those are they're great. They're the light in my life. Yeah.
Well, it certainly keeps you grounded, keeps you rooted in what's good, and
definitely
gives you inspiration.
It does.
We provide this segment on Inspire Our Movement.
Yeah.
So Natalia, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Nona Fitness Connection?
Okay, so Nona Fitness Connection started. One of the trainers in the community that I live in Laureate Park. His name is Demetrius Bronson. He has a 53 squad, which is a personal training and boot camp fitness group. So he said to me, Natalia, I really want to do something where we get all of the trainers together, or maybe do something. And I was like, I'll do it, whatever. I'll start a Facebook page. And that's just, I guess that was my personality at the moment. And I just started a Facebook page, and I was like, well, let me start interviewing people. And you'll understand this. The way I see fitness or moving, fitness and movement create goodness in your body. You feel good when you move. It makes you happy. You start feeling good about yourself, and it creates a small ripple effect, because once you start feeling better about yourself, that overflows in your life. It overflows with your family and the way that you treat your coworkers. So I personally found my yoga family, or my fitness family, at yoga. I want to come to yoga because I want to see the faces here. I want to see the people here. I want to see this yoga community. And at the same time, I happen to stretch a little, get a little strength, and I get motivated to return because I know that I'm going to see people that I love and enjoy their company. So my goal with Nona Fitness Connection was to share with the Nona community what is out there. We have so many wonderful fitness opportunities, and you don't necessarily have to pay for a membership to, X gym. You could start a little group. So we have run groups in the Nona area. We have cycling groups in the Nona area, and all of these things are out there, with the ultimate goal that if I help you find your fitness family, just because you saw somebody talk and they connected with you, then hopefully you have a happier life.
You filled your role. Absolutely. You connected those dots.
Yeah.
And there is incredible amount of just folks in I guess general health and wellness community, practitioners of all types, that I've only tuned in most recently to the Nona Fitness Connection, but the few folks that I've seen, I never heard of. I haven't lived here for as long as I have. Right,
yeah. And I mean, the Nona area is just exploding with more and more opportunities. So I know that we have other places opening, and it's wonderful. There's people that say, where can we find yoga? And we've been around for 5 years. So, yeah.
Wonderful. So I'd like to take this part of the segment now. I believe we're looking at that camera right there.
Okay.
There's a lot of folks out there seeing this video that are undergoing possibly moments of stress, anxiety, like all of us, on a general day, myself included, who could potentially benefit from the practice of yoga or meditative exercises. Can you give them maybe a little, which you already have given us insurmountable wisdom, but just a word of encouragement?
If you're under a certain amount of anxiety or depression, definitely speak to your doctor, one, if it's something that's been going on for so long. However, if it's something that happened today or something that's short-term anxiety, depression, or stress, I encourage you to come to yoga. I encourage you to stop and listen to your breathing. Mainly, I encourage you to connect with gratitude. I find that if you connect with gratitude, you have the ability to recognize that you're still here. You're still on this earth, and you woke up. So there's always that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know if that was fantastic, but
no, that's words from the heart, and that's what this whole space is about. Is just for us to spill our guts to you. That's what it is. But no, just to share our light. Light received, light within, light just generally, and hopefully anybody out there who is in fact going through something, as you very eloquently said, there is a space for mental health practitioners if it's a situation that's severe enough. But for maybe some milder things that we all have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, this practice that is yoga is certainly extremely helpful. I can attest to that, both here and at home, because at the end of the day, you have to take it with you. So I'd like to, you're going to share with us a meditative practice.
Okay.
A few minutes. That'll be sort of our closing. But I'd like to give you an opportunity to maybe plug any special project, albeit here at Sunlight Yoga.
Okay.
Just anything personal that you may want to share with a viewer, how to connect as well.
Okay.
Maybe, and again, the camera's all yours.
Okay. So I am also the owner of 3R, which is Release, Reconnect, and Reset, where I do bring meditation, meditative practices into your space. I currently teach meditation at the Lake House that is open to everyone, 6 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. Yes, 6 a.m. Maybe before the sun is rising. It's quite beautiful. We do a 15-minute meditation. Then I'll read something from somebody who wrote something. And then we do a quick 3-minute meditation. That quick 3-minute meditation is the one that I'll do today.
Fantastic. So why don't we
Go
dive right in?
All right. So wherever you are, you can do the sitting, laying down.
And I'll if you want to cue me,
Yeah.
I'll definitely do it.
Simply allow yourself to close your eyes. Take a big breath in through the nose and sigh it out. As you sit, allow your jaw to open and relax while your mouth is slightly closed. Maybe paying attention to the space where both lips meet. Feel like there's a sensation of ah on the inside of your mouth. Allow your jaw to soften and your shoulders to soften. Allow yourself to notice your breath. Ask yourself 3 questions. The first question, who am I? Ask yourself, who am I? The beauty of this question is we get to choose. When you answer it, answer I am strong, focused. Who am I? Ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? When you ask this question, you give yourself a direction, a path, a guiding light. And the more focused that response is, the easier it is to see that path. What do I want? Your last question, and my favorite question. What am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? As you sit with that question, notice all the things that you can be grateful for. All the people, your body, the space that you are in right now. Ultimately, the breath that you are breathing at this moment. What am I grateful for? Allow your breath to deepen. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. When you're ready, allow your eyes to open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar.
Thank you, Natalia, for this beautiful experience, for this wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed it very much, and I'm sure our viewers have as well. Thank you for sharing your light with me and with everybody behind the lens.
Thank you.
I'm very, very thankful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'd like to thank also the owner of this studio, Ms. Bree Parrish, which has been incredibly welcoming to myself, to all of the trainees over this last 3 or 4 months that I shared time with, including Ms. Natalia. And, for allowing us to film here. Honestly, this is a tremendous privilege. And just so very happy to be part of this yogi community. I hope that anybody out there who is sort of on the fence, that maybe we did a little bit of a nudge closer to hopping over that fence and just explore something that I think can be incredibly profound. And it'll be really your own personal journey. It's the only way that I can really expound on that is once you start it, once it sticks, it'll only sort of broaden its scope and depth. So thank you so much for tuning to another segment of Inspire Movement. It's again an honor and privilege that you're taking time out of your busy schedule to tune in. We hope to continue meeting wonderful people like Miss Natalia and spreading some light to all of y'all. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have our Miss Natalia's full video coming out soon at the beginning of the new year. And just a lot of things in store that we definitely want to share with you. If you want to add possibly some comments on folks that you would like for us to reach out to, please do so as well. We're currently on Instagram as well as Facebook, and just look forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you so much, and with that, namaste.
Namaste.